Hey y'all, thanks for coming back to the Sovereign Ratio. Today we're going to take a look at RSIs and how they can affect your trading decisions and your investment decisions based off of cryptocurrency, stocks, or whatever asset can be viewed in trading view, gold, silver, commodity, whatever it is. But I'm going to use one of my favorite cryptos, Chainlink, as an example just to demonstrate how to use the RSI. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming by. If not, regardless, please smash the subscribe and like button and leave a comment in the video. All right, so the RSI stands for the Relative Strength Index, and the RSI is essentially a oscillating graph that displays whether something is in the oversold zone or the overbought zone, or it has more bullish momentum, more bearish momentum. It's one of the most important indicators to use in trading, especially when you're looking for what's called a divergence. A divergence in an RSI is when a price does one thing and the RSI does another. And that can go both directions. It can go as far as like a price peak going up and a strength peak going down, or a price peak going up, or I'm sorry, a price peak going down and a strength peak going up, or vice versa, also on the lows, like a low going up on the price and a low going down on the RSI, or a low going down on the price and a low going up on the RSI. These are all called divergences. There's regular divergence and there's hidden divergence. And today we're going to take a look at those, and we're going to take a look at the RSI in general and how it can be used effectively when planning trades. This would be more of a long-term view type of video because RSI can be very finicky as a trading tool when it comes to day trading. There's an amalgamation of indicators that you want to use for something like a day trade. This is more for a swing trade or more for a long-term investment strategy. So first of all, I just want to make a simple note that you can actually change the color of the RSI, which I do because I don't like the standard purple that TradingView gives us. First of all, I guess I should go back. If you're looking to add any indicator to your TradingView, you just click on indicators up here, type it in the search bar, which this one would be relative, if I could spell, strength index. You can see I already have it as a favorite, and I also have the stochastic RSI as a favorite. So when you click on that, it'll add it to your chart. Clearly it's already here. It starts out as purple with a purple line, and to me it's hard to read. So just a little hint here right off the jump. You double click on it, you can change the RSI color. And I change it to white so it's more visible for me. So here's the basics of the RSI. The RSI shows the relative strength of an asset. You can see like in this band that it typically oscillates within. The top side of the band is the overbought band, is the overbought area, I should say. And the bottom area is the oversold area, which would generally indicate as the RSI moves up, so does price. And as the RSI moves down, so does price. That's not always the case because sometimes you might be looking at a certain time frame. Like let's say we're looking at an hourly time frame and the RSI is up. Well, it's very possible for the RSI to be all the way at the top at a 1 hour time frame, but be all the way at the bottom on a daily time frame because there are 24 days or 24 hours within that daily time frame. So the RSI being all the way up on the hourly time frame does not really move the daily a lot. So you also have to take into consideration what time frame you're looking at. For instance, right now we're looking at the 1 day chart on Chainlink, which is I would consider that to be a larger time frame. It's not I would say the weekly time frame is probably where you want to be for long-term investing. This is based off of KuCoin, so there's not a lot of data because like other exchanges like Binance will have more data than this. KuCoin probably picked up Chainlink in it's not a probably. KuCoin picked up Chainlink in August 2020. Binance would have had it before then. Older exchanges would have had it before then. But the weekly RSI is really a long-term macro type of chart. The daily chart, in my opinion, is still a relatively long-term chart. But for example, let's see the difference between the RSI on a smaller time frame and the current time frame. So let's start at the top. On the weekly time frame, the RSI is actually in the bullish control zone. Well, actually, it's in the middle. It was just in the bullish control zone, and right now it's hovering right around that, basically an indecision line, right here at the 50. So we're kind of in the middle. This doesn't really give us any indication as far as what the asset is doing because it's right in the middle. But if we go down, like say the daily chart. So the daily chart, the RSI is also right in the middle. However, we can look at the peaks of the RSIs and the dips of the RSIs and kind of get a better idea of what's going on. So right now, you would look at the daily chart and say, okay, the RSI is showing a 44.72, which would lead you to believe that the asset's going down, right? But there are a lot of factors to take into consideration, like what is Bitcoin doing? What is the status of a shorter time frame chart? Is that going up? Because that could cause the daily to go up as well. So let's do that. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Now here's the first example of divergence. I have not looked at this chart. This is the first time I've looked at it probably all day. So right off the top, right off the bat, I can see this. Take that and take that. So what we have here is we have a declining price, the lower low and then a second lower low. On the RSI, we have a higher low and another higher low. That is standard bullish divergence. Okay, so on a 4-hour time frame, which would be more like kind of a day trading type of range, this indicates to me that it's going to go up. Price is going to go up, right? If we go back just a smidge to, today's April 26th. If we go back a smidge here to like April 14th to April 18th, we have exactly the opposite of that. We have price going up, and that starts here. Strength is actually going slightly down. That's bearish divergence. So what that would indicate is after several drives of bearish divergence, there's a pretty good indication that price is going to fall. And look at what it did. In this particular case, we had well, that doesn't count because that's a higher. So we had 1, 2, 3 drives of regular bearish divergence. And we had price that fell down, 23% just off of that. And now what we're seeing is basically the end of that movement. And we're seeing 2 drives of bullish divergence, right? Lower price, higher RSI, higher RSI. And in the big scheme of things, that would tell me that price is going to go up, which if I then go back to the daily chart, tells me that price may actually go back into the bullish control zone here above 50. It remains to be seen. And that's where you start to look at other things too, like Bitcoin. Like, hey, what's Bitcoin doing? Can Bitcoin help me determine what the actual strength of this asset is? Well, let's go to Bitcoin. Based off of my video yesterday, I posted about the Gaussian channel and in previous bear markets, how price fluctuates to the median line and the top side of the Gaussian channel until it finally breaks out, which tells me already I'm not real worried about my Chainlink because I'm almost positive it's going to go up based off of what I'm seeing. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty positive. But if we look at Bitcoin, like on the daily chart, for example, yesterday, which yesterday was a couple hours ago because it closes at 8 Eastern time, but look at this candle on Bitcoin right here. It's a huge topping tail, huge bottom tail with just a little bit in the middle, and then it closed here at the top of this, and now we've gone to this candle. Price shot up $1,000. There's a lot of volatility and a lot of indecision in the market. I remain bullish until this Gaussian channel is broken. But as far as Chainlink is concerned, because I remain bullish, I'm not overly concerned about the RSI on Chainlink right now. What I see is 4-hour bullish divergence. What I want to go from there is I want to see what happens on the daily chart. There are a lot of different types, again, of divergences that we can look at on the RSI. And next, we're going to look at some of those. Here in this box, I've gone ahead and outlined a case of strong hidden bearish divergence. So what we see here is we have a peak up here where there's a strong wick on this candle in particular. And then this next wick down here, so we have a downtrending trend line. But here on the RSI, we have an uptrending trend line. So what that's telling you is that as the price is going down, the strength is going up, which is not a good thing. That's typically a very bearish signal. And look what happened. We had a drop of 11% essentially, which would have been an excellent short to get into. You know, at a 5x, that's a 50% gain on a short like that. That's where divergence comes in. RSI is most useful, in my opinion, for divergences. When you throw in another indicator called the stock RSI, that's when you start getting into more day trading. In my opinion, I like the RSI for a long-term view, and then that will give me a general guidance on how I think the market is going to move. And the stock RSI is basically like my trigger to make a day trade, which I will discuss the stock RSI in a different video. But essentially, it looks like this. This is kind of like the dynamic duo here, right? So in this particular instance of this was hidden before, we see here on the daily, the stock RSI, which is a much quicker moving oscillator than the RSI itself. We see it start to cross down and go back into the middle control zone here out of the overbought zone. So in like this here crossing down plus the hidden bearish divergence, that would have given a great indication that it might be time to open a short. So that is how those two can work in tandem. I will go through the stock RSI in detail later though. Also in general, when you find divergence on the RSI, the higher up it is on the scale or the lower it is on the scale, the more powerful it's going to be, right? So a lot of people like to trade whenever something is over this line here at 70 or under this line here at 30. So like for instance, again, this here with that huge increase in price, but we have RSI that is very, very, very divergent here, actually going down. Huge increase in price, slight increase in decrease in RSI. That was a big trigger that there's probably going to be a large down movement. So at this point, like if you're doing some TA, you probably have a trend line drawn here, and you wouldn't really, most people probably would not catch it here at the top, but whenever it broke through this trend line, generally, in this case, it did not happen, but generally what would happen would be break through the trend line, retest of the trend line, and then down. In this instance, that didn't happen, but that would be a great way to plan out a short based off the RSI, is this big bearish divergence that we have here. You could kind of roll the dice a little bit and try to trade this based off, okay, I see 1, 2, 3 drives of hidden bearish or of regular bearish divergence. You could open a short somewhere up here and hope for the best. But most people, at least a trader that was trying to cover their ass, would do something like this, where they wait for the break of the trend, they open a short here at the retest of the trend, and then they get the move down. In this case, the trade would have never happened because that didn't happen, but that would be the safer way to trade, and that's also how you can use RSI to make trades. In this case, if you're just trading spot and you're not trading leverage, I would have seen this and I would have been like, okay, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 peaks here, some big diver. I would have been taking profits somewhere in this area. Like, okay, we're getting pretty overbought here. It's safer to take some profits. So ultimately, that's what happened. The RSI reset. There was a huge drop. RSI reset down to the bottom here. And then we saw another drop down. One rule, you never buy the first RSI dip. So if you see RSI fall all the way down below into the extremely oversold area, then you can see usually there's another dip, right? So you have that price dip. There's almost always a second dip. And that happened to correspond with the bull market support band, which is another indicator that I have on here. So we saw that this right here at this point, I'm going to draw a trend line right there. That would have been a good place to go long. Even though ultimately the price fell further, As long as you didn't have your stop loss set real close, you could have actually made a trade out of that, or you could have just bought spot, right? Because you sold somewhere up here, you bought somewhere down here. It's a good trade either way, right? And the RSI is a helpful tool to kind of help you figure that out. So real situation right here. What are we looking at? We're looking at 2 drives, and this is real time. You know, this is not historical. We're looking at 2 drives of bullish divergence. What this tells me is that Chainlink wants to make a big move up. Not only that, Chainlink was recently in kind of this, I'm going to draw a line here. It's kind of in this downtrending wedge, which generally breaks to the upside. And it did break to the upside, but it also came back into the wedge and bounced out of the wedge, which tells me right now, there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of people trading crypto. There's a lot of people that don't really know. There's a lot of retail investors just getting in and out of the market right now. Like they buy and then like, oh shit, it's going down, I gotta sell. And there's a lot of volatility right now. And that makes sense, right? Because we're on the cusp of a giant Bitcoin Gaussian channel breakout here. So that's to be expected. I think the next week or two is going to be very rocky, but that's a real-time example, what we're looking at right here, right? And that's on the 4-hour chart with Chainlink. I just drew that right there on the fly. Let's go to the daily chart. And again, I'm seeing downward movement on price, flat movement on RSI. To me, that's still a little bit bullish. So I personally think Chainlink's probably going to move up because as Bitcoin moves up, Chainlink is probably going to move up too. Chainlink is, in my opinion, one of the best cryptos that you can own that's not Bitcoin. And it holds up very well in a bear market, as a matter of fact. So anyway, Chainlink was just an example. I'm not here shilling Chainlink, even though I kind of did. But hopefully this was useful to you. I would further investigate RSIs. In Google, you can type RSI divergence chart or RSI chart, and you can get yourself a nice little cheat sheet on what the various divergences are and what they mean. So next time we do one of these, we'll probably hit up stock RSI and explain a little bit more about that we briefly talked about and how that correlates as a tool with RSI to make bigger decisions. So hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you for coming by. Please smash that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment so I can get in that algorithm. I will be back with more crypto information, financial videos, self-development videos, men's health, men's dating, so on and so forth. And I'm really looking forward to getting back into the space. So please connect with me, subscribe, like, comment, and we will see you in the next video. Good luck trading.